WASSCE History TV channel for more content about the history of Ghana.
Hi there. I welcome you once again to our WASSCE History TV. Welcome, and this is the only place that you can get information, credible content for your history and government studies. Today, we are going to look at, we are still on the NLC. We are not done with the NLC. In our previous video, we looked at the problems that the NLC faced upon their assumption of office in 1966. But we couldn't finish with the solutions, all right? And so I said that I will do this in two. So if you did not watch the previous video on the problems that the NLC faced, I have added the link in the RPK inscription, so in the description, so you go and check. So today we are looking at the NLC's solution to the economic problems of the country. Bear in mind that one of the reasons why Nkrumah was overthrown was because of the hardship that the people were going through, the economic crisis that had occurred at that time. And so let's look at how the NLC came to solve the problem of that economic hardship. And so that is what we are doing today, how they solved economic problems. Already in the previous lesson, we have talked about the members of the NLC. We've also talked about the problem the NLC faced. So let's look at the measures. So our lesson objectives is that by the end of this lesson, you should be able to outline the measures taken by the NLC to solve those problems that we talked about in the previous video. The link is under this description. So go there and go and check. So all this, we have done it. We've done all this. We've treated all this in our previous video. So go and get the link. Click on the link if you have not watched that video and get that video first. Good. So let's look at how the NLC solved the economic problems of the country. First of them, or the first thing that the NLC did was the setting up of the economic committee. And this economic committee was under the chairmanship of E.N. Omabwa. He was then the government statistician. All right. And this, of course, committee advised the NLC to honor all debts incurred by the Nkrumah regime. You know, the Nkrumah regime had borrowed, and so the country was in debt. And therefore, the NLC, this economic committee, first step was to advise the NLC or the Ankara of government to honor all those debts and pay them, even though some of these debts, according to the NLC, were actually procured under fraudulent means, but they were asked to do that. But let's look at the next one. The next solution to solve the economic problems of the country was that the NLC, again decided to launch an appeal to friendly countries because of the shortage of food items, of basic items. So they launched an appeal for friendly countries to give them some sort of assistance so that the country could come out of the wounds. And so they just needed that assistance from these countries. And some of them, of course, responded greatly. So USA, Great Britain, West Germany, of course, Canada, they responded positively to this appeal because the country was in need of basic commodities. So, for instance, the US gave Ghana 41,000 kilograms of powdered milk. Again, 140,000 cutlasses for distribution to farmers. They also gave Ghana 100,000 bags of corn to the NLC. Okay, and also an agreement was also signed with the USA, which also provided Ghana with almost 5,327,500 worth of food, and other essential commodities. And so the British government also sent in drugs. So all this was in a bid to reduce the lack of or the shortage of food on the market and other essential products. And so this is what the NLC did. Again, the next solution to the economic problems of the country was that the NLC again cancelled Nkrumah's 7-year development plan. Okay, so Nkrumah had a 7-year development, of course, plan which he had planned to do, but the NLC cancelled those. Now, in that plan, there was going to be a prestigious project such as the Nkrumah Tower with an revolving, of course, restaurant at the top, which was to have been built at the trade fair site where we have it. And this development was revoked, or this project was stopped, mainly because the NLC at this stage was concerned about how to cut down government expenditure. And so some of these expensive projects which Nkrumah had envisaged were all stopped in a bid to keep money into the government coffers. So let's take a look at more of them, more of the economic problems. Also, there was a reduction of government ministries and expenditure. Ministries and expenditure, and the number of ministers as at that time were only 32. Okay, were only 32, and this number was reduced to 17 ministers. Okay, also the number of administrative districts was 167, and this was also reduced to 47. Okay, in addition, Ghana's foreign mission was also reduced about 40% in terms of personnel and offices in order to save the highly needed fund. So again, the country or the NLC government was keen on trying to cut down government expenditure. And when the country today, our country, entered into some kind of economic crisis, people were calling for the Akufo-Addo government to also reduce the number of ministers and cut down, even though they came up with some fuel cut down and some, some pay of course reduction, but that's that. So in a bit to bring down cost, the NLC did that. Let's then look at the next one that the NLC decided to do. So they also reduced taxes, and these taxes were reduced on food items like gari, salt, sugar, rice, milk, flour, and other foodstuffs, of course, that were produced in West Africa. Now, the budget of the NLC also reduced the prices of motor fuel, inland of copper starch, and all people who were also earning less than 400 cedis were exempted from paying tax. And so this is also in a bid to reduce the impact of the economy on the people. But I find it interesting that a government who needs money is now reducing taxes on these things. I am wondering how then the government is going to raise the revenue that the government wanted, because the country was in dire need of money. And here we have the government also reducing taxes. But that also was in the right direction because the people were suffering. And so if you end up raising more taxes on them, like what our current government is doing, we are in crisis, we are in COVID, we are in Ukraine, of course, Russian war, yet we find our government still bringing in more taxes for fuel prices are going up, but this government is still keen on raising revenue, so still adding more taxes to the Ghanaian. And so the NLC doing this was in the right direction, because this will reduce the effect of the hardship. At least people will not be paying high, of course, prices for this. Again, there was an increase in the price of cocoa. So the NLC government also decided to increase the price of cocoa. And even though there was obvious financial, of course, challenges, it increased from 4 cedis to 4 cedis 80 pesos, and this was to alleviate the plight of the cocoa farmer. So from 1968 to 1970, again, a 2-year development plan was also launched to fast track the development in agriculture, fishing, and again, roads. So again, I find this interesting. The country is without money, but we find the government also trying to do things, social interventions that would would end up reducing the price of the people, which I find very, very, of course, which I admire so much, because uh, this meant that the government really is a thinking government who thinks about the people. Good. Let's look at more of the. So the last one was the devaluation of the city. So the aim of the devaluation, was to improve the economic situation by exporting more goods and importing less in order to strengthen the economies or the country's balance of payment. Okay, so exporting more goods, and then again what, importing less, okay, in order for the country to strengthen its balance of payment deficit and trade balance relation. Don't forget, already we've said that the government had run into a budget deficit, and so when the NLC decided to devaluate the cedi, the impact is that it makes our raw materials cheaper, because our currency has been devalued. I mean, the strength of our currency has been devalued. So it makes raw materials in our country cheaper, and so it encourages, export. A lot of people will come from abroad to come and buy. So money will be in the system actually. But the disadvantage here is that it also discourages import. People who are, or Ghanaians who are importing items or foreign made items into this country, have to pay more, and so that discourages import. And so the whole idea, the whole rationale is that money will stay in the system, so that people don't go in for more dollar. Okay, because if a country's population is keen on importing, what happens is that always they look for more dollar to buy outside. And so when this happened, but this actually is a short-term solution, even though in the short term it will keep money in the system, but this is not a sustainable solution. Don't forget that Ecofor in 2000 also did a similar thing. And so that is the whole idea. Okay, it attracts foreign capital into the country, and it also stop smuggling, and then black market or dealings in the city. Okay, and so that's just that. That's just that. That's just that. That's just that. So I think we have, so of course, sorry about that, foreign, of course, capital, of course, like I have already said, it attracts foreign capitals into the country. Okay, and it was also meant to make Ghana's export more competitive on the world market, and this was the reason behind the devaluation of our cedi. Good, good. So I hope you have had a nice time today. These are WASSCE questions, WASSCE 2015, and then WASSCE 2016. And I hope that you can be able to do about 90% of this. And then when you find this anywhere, you won't find yourself wanting. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. So, of course, WASSCE 15 and WASSCE 16, as I have already indicated. All right. Have a nice day, and thank you for your time. We shall meet some other time. All right. Bye bye.
WASSCE History TV. money come. Bye.